If you're seeing us right now and we're just kind of pausing, I apologize. We're having a couple of technical difficulties, evidently, as far as it goes. But good morning, everybody. We are live. It is the Blitz, the finale of it all. It's I can't believe this part of the season is finally freaking here. Um, we've been preparing for this for a long time. Hold on, I don't think we went. We've been preparing for this for a long
We're live.
time.
Yep.
We're live
Yep.
on YouTube.
Oh,
Yes,
there you
sir.
go.
So hit him with the intro, Mikey.
Well, we'll just hit you guys with the intro. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Well, it wouldn't be the finale if we didn't have some awesome technical difficulties just to kick things off. So sorry about the beginning of that, guys, but we can promise you it'll only gets better from there, depending on what your taste is or what your definition of the word better is, too. So here we go. It's week 17. It's the Blitz. It's the finale. We are ready to get you guys that championship trophy, that cash, whatever it is we're playing for today, guys. Let's get it done. So we got the best in the business here, ready to answer all your questions. On my left, I got my man Joe. Joe, how are we doing today? You ready to get this stuff done?
I'm pumped, very pumped. We're 2 games in from a league championship perspective, so hopefully we got some CD Lamb owners that we'll hear from today. But you started saying it before. You've worked from draft prep in July and August through the regular season to now. If you are still playing, you're playing for a Super Bowl, you're playing for money. And you're playing for that pride and those bragging rights in those leagues with your buddies. And this is it. This is a lot of the injuries, lots of moving parts, lots of teams playing for something, lots of teams not playing for something. We'll navigate you through it all.
Absolutely. Yep. And we'll be getting to those injuries right away here after we introduce my man down below. We got my man Jeff. Jeff, how we doing this morning? How's it going there in good old SoCal?
I'm doing great, man. It's a little bittersweet because as usual, this is the best morning of my week, and it is now ending today. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but I will say this, to quote Eddie Murphy in Trading Places, Merry New Year.
Merry New Year. Exactly. Yes. Happy New Year's to everybody out there who's joining us as well. Make sure you be safe. Make sure you're not driving. Come on, man. Don't even go drinking. This is the night that they try to grab you. More DUIs tonight than any other day of the week, believe it or not. But so let's be safe out there. We want to have you guys here next year with us on the Blitz. With that, let's go ahead and get things started. Joe, who's injured today? What do we got?
Let's run through it. We'll start at quarterback. Big quarterback news of the week. One start, one sit. Trevor Lawrence not playing as of yesterday for Jacksonville in their game home against Carolina. I really hope this is kind of Etienne's get right game without Lawrence there. And then the other big news on a positive, CJ Stroud is playing for Houston. So again, I believe it's going to be the first game where Stroud's back. There's no Tank Dell, but you do have a healthy Nico Collins, a healthy Noah Brown, and Dalton Schultz. So looking forward to see what the Houston offense does. Kyler Murray was questionable. He is going to play. As we know, the Tommy Cutlets era, unfortunately, is over in New York, but is still ever living here in East Granby, Connecticut. He will not play today as Tyrod Taylor is getting another start, which makes absolutely no sense, but it doesn't really matter either way. From a running back perspective, big news of the morning, Raheem Mostert must start, as Mikey has labeled him and has been accurate pretty much every single week this year. He is not going to play today at Baltimore for Miami in a really big AFC game. So let the A-chain questions begin now. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but it's a really tough matchup. But at the same time, McCaffrey kind of ran all over them last week. They just couldn't do anything else. Kamara is questionable, but he is in line to play. You know that Zach Moss is out, so Jonathan Taylor will be the one-man show in Indianapolis today. Isaiah Pacheco has cleared concussion protocol. He is likely to play for Kansas City. As we talked about last night, though, he's one of those guys who's got like that concussion, illness, bad shoulder combo. So he is definitely banged up. Josh Jacobs not going to play again. So it's another week for White there for the Raiders. Kenneth Walker is questionable, but it looks like he will also play. He's another shoulder illness combo. And, Zeke Elliott, just as a reminder, has the backfield in New England with their Stevenson injury. And at wideout, real quick, we know Tyreek Hill's back for Miami, but they did lose Jalen Waddle. No Waddle this week. Nakua is questionable. Expected to play, though. We know Keenan Allen is out for the Chargers. Jamar Chase is questionable, likely to play. Michael Pittman, questionable, slated to play. DK Metcalf, questionable, in line to play. And one other one real quick. Cortland Sutton is out for Denver. So they're playing the Chargers, which is a nice matchup. I guess Judy will have his chance to have a pulse this year.
Yeah, Broncos making a big change there at quarterback as well. It will be, I think, Jeff, are you starting for the Broncos today?
I might as well. My name kind of sounds like Jared Stidham, so I might as well. Sure.
Jeff Stidham. That's exactly his last name for anybody who's Googling this monster right down here. No, Jared Stidham, man, I just don't have a whole lot of faith in anything Denver-wise as far as that goes. But I haven't all season. And it's really weird because they really could. I mean, if they went out and Kansas City and Vegas both lose out, Broncos can actually still make the playoffs. So it's weird to see such a transition right now, but I'm not crossing my fingers or anything like that. But so here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started with the questions. First, I have a quick question right now for you guys. So A-Chain against that vaulted Baltimore defense. Are we ready to play him? Are we ready to start this guy in that matchup? And if we got like, say, well, who would you even consider a better option at running back today as far as that goes? Because it's going to be a question that a lot of people have today.
I mean, I would say it certainly kind of depends on lineup, but I don't care about the matchup, Mike. I still think that the Dolphins have turned into, now Tua puts up some good numbers, but the Dolphins have turned into a really good running team with Mostert and A-Chain, and with Mostert out, I think this guy, regardless of the matchup, is still going to put up some points. So I wouldn't look to switch him with anybody else at this point. And we do the DFS show Saturday nights. Get this guy in your lineup because he's a bargain at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, 6,900 on FanDuel, man. You really can't beat that kind of a price for that kind of opportunity and volume. So yeah, I mean, I'm fading him slightly, but I'm feeling pretty good about Devin A-Chain today. Just like Joe said, I mean, Christian McCaffrey had a pretty easy time. And to me, Christian McCaffrey, yes, he's a great running back, but I really don't think that that's kind of his forte. To me, his forte is being that pass attack running back coming out of the backfield. So I feel like A-Chain's more of one of those pure runner types. And I don't know, it's got me pretty excited to see what he's got right here.
Jesse,
man, the moment we've been waiting for. Our guy Trans-Siberian, he said lost in the finals. And of course, Ford put up 21 this week. Boys, thanks for all your help throughout the year. I want to wish you three a happy new year. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay wise. See you next September, buddy. We're going to be here all off season doing Dynasty. And Trans-Siberian, if you're not doing Dynasty yet, you need to get on board with this kind of stuff. Even if you want to hop into a league with us or something like that for being such an awesome listener all year long, we will set that up for you for sure, man. So hit me up on the side. You know how to get me off of here. And let's get something going, man. Let's get some Dino going. And that way you got something to do besides watching snow over there in the Ukraine, my man. But it's sorry to hear that you lost. I know that we were up against it last week. He was facing Olave, and I can't remember the other guy who scored like 60 points. I know we were in a big hole and just couldn't come out of the bottom of it. So sorry to hear that, Trans-Siberian. But we'll get you next year, man. We'll get you next year. First question up, we got at Jarnai9 whatever. Championships, help. Who's starting PPR with flex? We got Pickens, Brown, or Judy. Joe, lead us off.
We were talking about Pickens last night from a DFS perspective, and I had him in my lineup, but your charm and your wit, Mikey, sold me on kind of making a couple switches, which led me to Noah Brown, and we talked about it a minute ago, how, it's Brown and Collins and Stroud healthy for the first time since the Tank Dell injury and since the fact that Stroud missed some games. So I like Noah Brown home against Tennessee. Tennessee can be hard to run on sometimes. So, and this is a very important game for Houston. I think Noah Brown is the safest option of those three. Could Pickens do what he did again last week? Yes, he could. But I think I'd bet on Brown to get 15 is the safer bet.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning the same thing. Like, I don't really feel like chasing points on Pickens. And, like, one of those was just a huge breakaway. He just outdid his defense, and, man, he ran all the way. So you take that big, giant play away, and he's kind of back to his same kind of consistent, 3-4 targets a game type thing. And I think that Noah Brown's going to actually out-target him as well. So for me, it's Noah Brown as well, because I don't want anything to do with the Denver offense until I see what the backup for – what was it, the Patriots like 10 years ago can do for Denver. What do you think here, Jeff?
I think that's a good point, and that's what it comes down to is who are the quarterbacks throwing to these guys. So do you really trust Jared Stidham? I really don't. I like Javonte Williams actually in a DFS perspective, because I don't think the Broncos are going to put up much as far as throwing yardage. And then also, I mean, we got 1 week under the belt. Mason Rudolph had a decent week last week, but can you really trust that guy to stack him on top with back-to-back decent performances? It comes down to C.J. Stroud's a better quarterback, and Noah Brown's going to be the better option.
And, when you got a lot of teams like this that are fighting it for the playoffs and things like that, like this is a pretty exciting week 17 by comparison. We don't have all those teams that are like sitting there talking about benching people yet or anything like that. We actually have a lot of people that have a lot to play for. So it keeps that fantasy stuff relevant. And one of those teams is Houston. So get me Noah Brown for sure. I'm excited about getting Noah Brown in my lineups today. And like you said, if you watched the DFS show last night, you know how high we are on him.
And real quick, too, at Seattle, which is obviously at Seattle, never an easy place to play. And their defense, the Philly did not score a ton on Seattle a couple of weeks ago. Seattle won another close game last week, I think, at Tennessee. Their defense has actually been playing probably a little bit better than expected.
Pretty stout, yeah. They're kind of a dark horse wild card team coming in there on the backside there, and I think that's a team to watch point forward. At Dave got next, he says pick 2. Brian Robinson versus the 49ers, Gus Bus versus the Dolphins, or Jeff Wilson Jr. versus the Ravens. Jeff, what do you got here?
Oh God, I hate all these options, truly. But I will say, I mean, there is a wild card in there with the Jeff Wilson Jr. thing, just because of the Mostert injury. But I think I'm just going to go with Brian Robinson and Gus Edwards. Not liking it too much, but I really don't like Jeff Wilson Jr. either. So those two are going to be the 2 out of the 3 for me.
Gotcha. What do you got here, Joe?
It's 2 out of 3 we're picking?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I absolutely would go Robinson and Gus Edwards. I'm thinking about would I go Robinson or Edwards, which is kind of tricky. But I think with that injury to Mitchell and the fact that Washington's playing the 49ers, I think I would be apt to go Gus Edwards if it was just one, but definitely Robinson and Edwards as a tandem.
And I tend to agree. I like Jeff Wilson Jr. today as kind of like one of those wild card guys. But for my fantasy championship, I'm a little bit too worried about how they're going to operate with A-Chain. It's going to be a game that I feel like is going to get done in the air, because that passing attack from Baltimore has been looking for real the past couple of weeks, and they're beating a lot of teams. What do you got, Jeff?
Well, let me. I'm just very curious if Dade got next. If he's in the final with these options, I mean, what the hell does the rest of his team look like? But in any case, I'm just curious. So.
It's got to be nice. It's got to be lights out wide receivers. Like he's got Debo, Amon-Ra, and something like that, like a combo like that to get in there, and possibly Sam Howell as his quarterback, because that's the guy that's been getting it done all season. I'm just kidding. I doubt he has Sam Howell, but yeah, no, I think that we're all on the same page. What's that?
I was just going to say Robinson's had a pretty good year overall. I know the last couple of weeks in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, and he's been fighting injury as well the past few weeks. And so I'm a little less on him and a little bit more, but I just don't like that Ravens defense. If I'm high on A-Chain just because of the volume that he's going to be getting, but I would be shocked if he got over, like, say, 60, 70 yards. Like, so if that's a prop bet, if it was like the over was like 45, I'd smash the over. But if the over was 65, I'd be a lot less prone to do that. And make sure you guys are those of you watching, make sure you get some questions in there. If you have any today, we'll definitely crack them down here and they get the right priority. So we'll pop them right up here. Mark Griffin, the Atlanta, says fantasy football championship, standard league, flex position. Who to start? And that was, let me see if we can get to that one because that doesn't look like it's a complete question here. So let me pull that up really fast. And while we're doing that, let's see.
Real quick, Jeff made a point about Miami earlier, and he's 100% correct. Like, they're winning games. They just beat the Cowboys, and Tyreek Hill's putting up, MVP career-like numbers. But he's 100% correct. Tua's 5 games in a row under 20, and they're winning. So they are very much a running team. Now, it might not look that way today based on the fact that they don't have Mostert and they're playing a really good defense, but they really are more of a running. At the beginning of the year, they were a full-on passing team, and it's changed.
It really has. Yeah, no, they've like I said, I feel like people talk trash on Lamar, and he's like, oh, let me show you what I got again. It happened to him all the time in college, too. Now with a little bit more complete question, Mark Griffin in Atlanta says, fantasy football championship, standard league, flex position. Who do I start, Higgins or Jones? Joe, lead us off.
Man, this is tough. Minnesota, Green Bay's playing Minnesota. I got to say, though, and I'm going to look it up right now, I think, and I know Jamar Chase, it looks like is going to play, but I actually kind of like the chemistry I've seen with Browning and Higgins, who I can't get to pop up here, but here we go. So, I mean, Higgins is over 22 weeks in a row. And I know that's been without Chase, but it's been 3 touchdowns too. I think they're going to have to score some points to win that game. Browning, they're kind of just let the roof off that offense. We're throwing touchdowns, we're throwing for yards, we're throwing interceptions, we're fumbling. We're kind of doing it all with that offense right now, which adds up to a lot fantasy-wise. So I think I kind of feel a little bit better about Higgins here.
I actually tend to agree with that. What do you think here, Jeff?
I don't know, man. And well, first of all, I thought that was a really open-ended question to have us who to start, and without the options, that was going to be interesting to discuss. But in any case, so I feel like anytime I say start T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd, they go for 3 points. So, and as I always say, Mike, to me, the tie goes to the running back. I just think Aaron Jones might have more opportunity. And again, I put the jinx on Higgins and Boyd every time I say go roll with them. So give me Aaron Jones.
There you go. And so that makes me the tiebreaker, in which I'll lean in here and I'll actually agree with you, Jeff. The tie does go to the runner. I think Green Bay is going to be coming out of that backfield a lot against Minnesota, who's had a pretty sneaky good defense this season. I mean, not great by any means, but definitely can slow you down and make you score less points. So I think for me, it's Higgins, just because that offense has been lights out. And I mean, it's crazy to see them playing so good without Joe Burrow. And we got and now with hold on, we got another question here from Trans-Siberian. Oh nope, he says, and Gabe Davis. Yeah, Jeff knew that was coming. He just he was waiting for it, Trans-Siberian. We love you, man. You're always so fun.
Add Gabe Davis now to T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And although when I say pick Gabe Davis, he goes over. So my bad, Trans-Siberian. So that
look at those stats. Look at that. 3 zeros with a 26 and a 25.
He's like Deshaun Jackson, basically.
Worse.
Yeah. Just so hit or miss, man. It's insane.
Hey, a quick weather update. It is snowing in Chicago. So that Atlanta-Chicago game, and I know, like, for me, from a DFS perspective, I was between Purdy and Fields this week. But it's snowing and windy for that Chicago-Atlanta game.
Okay, so that's so now if you're between Purdy and Fields, I'd lean Purdy for sure.
Absolutely.
At Jomo 11, Broncos defense versus the Chargers or Bears defense versus Atlanta? With sorry, we're fighting a cold still. Jeff, with that information that we just got, who are you starting right here? I like defenses in the snow.
That is, I'll tell you that, you know what? Because of that update that Joe just gave, because my initial gut feeling was to go Broncos over Easton Stick in the LA Chargers. But I'll say because of the weather update that Joe just gave, give me the Bears.
Give you the Bears. The Bears. What do you think here, Joe?
It's a tough one. You would think you're going to be okay with either one. And I'll be honest, if it's snowing in Chicago, I wonder what it's doing in Denver. I haven't specifically looked to see what the weather is in Denver, but you could potentially expect some of the same.
It's just cold.
I mean, I like both of these. Just cold? Okay.
Yeah.
I like both these options. I guess I'm going to lean Denver, because if I had to choose one of those two teams, the Cardinals or Atlanta or the Chargers, to turn the ball over more, I'll bet on the Chargers to turn it over more. So I'll take Denver, but you feel like it's a win-win.
Yeah, so I'm going to actually lean with Jeff here. The Bears, Atlanta probably doesn't face a whole lot of snow in their travels or anything like that, being down where they're at. In a dome of all things too. So I think the Bears defense should be able to show out against Atlanta. I think for me, Khalil Herbert just took a huge uptick. And I know Cole Kmet, he's a game time decision too as well, right? Today.
You're right. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah. So keep an eye on that. But if Cole Kmet plays, I'm also going to give you an uptick on him as well. To get him in your lineup, especially DFS. At Coach Curl 90 says Zamir White, James Conner, or Devin A-Chain. Jeff, what do you got?
I mean, all those are really good options, but I would say of the three, just matchup. I know that it is a tough matchup, but Connor also has a tough matchup. Zamir White, I mean, the Raiders, they're playing at Indy. I mean, I don't know exactly too much about the guy, but you can't really roll the dice, especially if this is like a championship week. So I would hang my hat on A-Chain of those three.
I actually think I agree with that. What do you say here, Joe? Change my mind.
I'm between Connor and A-Chain. I mean, White's been a nice flash in the pan, and I think he's a great DFS play. I agree with Jeff. I don't think I'd feel that comfortable putting him in a Super Bowl league scenario. I have a hard time sitting Connor. I talked about it last night. I know A-Chain's the flashier prize there. But, given the matchup, I can totally understand going A-Chain. Connor gets that same target and carry share in Arizona, if not more today. I'm going to lean Connor, but it's close. More because of the matchup. And I know Philly's a tough matchup, but teams are scoring points on Philly left and right. So I'm not as worried about that matchup as I am potentially with Miami at Baltimore.
I like that too, but I'm also going to lean A-Chain here. I just think a purely volume play. I think, like I said, a lot of that game is going to be in the air, but I think we're going to have to pace it quite a bit with the run. I'm really not too worried about Jeff Wilson Jr. stealing a whole lot of touches from A-Chain today. Typically, that tandem does pretty successful, so I'm okay with taking the chance there. Give me A-Chain, and its second is Connor. I can't depend on Zamir White in my fantasy championship, although. Don't get me wrong, I like his volume too, just not as much as the outlook for those other two guys. Blue 2109 says Higgins, McLaurin, Hopkins, Dortch, Robinson. We need to start 2.5 PPR. Joe, help this man out or girl out. Sorry, shouldn't assume.
All right, well, I gotta look at this quick. So I think Higgins has got to be in for me. We just kind of talked about him. Obviously, he's the number one without Chase. Even if Chase is back, he's still banged up. I like Higgins today for sure. That second one is interesting. I can't, even though he doesn't necessarily deserve it. And, I'm going to look at, before I say this, I'm going to quickly look at DeAndre Hopkins because I feel like he's been so hot and cold for Tennessee. Man, Hopkins has been so bad the last 2 weeks. At the same time, this is like a revenge game for him in a way, going up against Houston. I'd love to take him, but I feel like Higgins for sure. And I think I'm going to lean McLaurin. The one thing about this Commanders team is they don't give an F, and they're just airing it out. So, it could end up being 45-17, but I could see McLaurin getting some trash today for Washington. I'll go Higgins and McLaurin.
I don't mind that logic right there. What do you say here, Jeff?
So by Robinson, I'm assuming we're talking about DeMarcus Robinson on the Rams. Correct. Is that what we're talking about? Okay. Correct. I mean, we talked about him last night. I actually really like Robinson in a league standpoint and a DFS standpoint. So, the Rams are at the Giants. The The offense is humming, and I think that Demarcus Robinson is a good option today. Washington, I can't trust anybody on the Washington offense. Joe makes a good point, but I still can't go with that. And seemingly, and I made my point about Higgins. I can't pick him because every time I do, he puts up 3 points. Hopkins, again, every time seemingly I say don't go with Hopkins, he puts up 30. So I'll tell you what, go Hopkins and Robinson for me out of those.
I don't mind that. I'm going to actually leave Higgins and Robinson myself. Robinson scored a touchdown in all 4 of the last weeks. He's been killing it. And Higgins right here, man, he scored a couple touchdowns 2 weeks ago and then one last week. I think he's really kind of coming along on that offense. I mean, he's always been really good. He's always been probably the best wide receiver, too, in the game as far as secondary goes. So I feel like it's Higgins and Robinson for me. What do you got, Joe?
Well, I know Joe's going to have an argument against that. But it's just, to me, it's almost more of a gut feeling because of the history I have with Higgins, or picking Higgins or not picking Higgins. And it's the same thing with Hopkins. So it's more of a gut feeling on that. So take it for what it is, whoever, Lou 2109. So gut feeling, that's what you got.
There you go. Hey, and sometimes that's all the guy needs to get right through that last little hump of the year. So gut feeling is a lot with this crew.
If we can't, real quick though, if you can't start Zamir White in your Super Bowl because he's Zamir White and you can't trust him, knowing that he's without Josh Jacobs, he's going to get 90% of the running back touches there for the 3rd straight week. How the hell can you start Demarcus Robinson over T. Higgins and DeAndre Hopkins? The last few, I like Connor and A-Chain. That's a toss-up to me. There was one before that you guys agreed, you two were the same on it, and that was a toss-up. This one, I can't, and I get Robinson, and I think he's a great DFS play for all the reasons we've all talked about last night and today, but I do not think you can play Demarcus Robinson over T. Higgins in your fantasy Super Bowl when Cincinnati is playing at Kansas City and is going to have to score some points to win that game.
I'll say this. I was going to say, if Trans-Siberian, if you're still listening, brother, write this down and then hit us up tomorrow via DM on Twitter, because I want to see where this goes. And anyways, go ahead, Mike.
You got it. We got at Joker777. He says, pick two. Rashad White, Bijan, Olave, and Rice. Full PPR. He played against Lamb and Hall this week. So that means we're swinging for the fences, boys. Who are you swinging with, Jeff?
First, I mean, that's a kick in the nuts to have your opponent both have Lamb and Breece Hall. That's a really tough way to start. So I'll say a full PPR definitely makes this very interesting to me. Bijan has been quite the disappointment for a guy who was hyped up so much as an easy first round pick. He just doesn't have the numbers. He's how many touchdowns does he have? Like 1 or 2 on the year, perhaps? I know you get the stats up there and kind of scroll through there. But
he had 10 targets and 7 catches last week.
Yeah, yes, but I'll tell you what, who has more is Rashad White. That guy's seemingly on fire. And give me, as we said a couple weeks ago with Trans-Siberian brought up the question, I like Rice, man. He's seemingly the guy in Kansas City outside of Kelsey. So give me Rice and Rashad White.
I don't mind that a bit. Joe,
White
what
Rice.
do you got right here?
So I'm all about Rashad White. I think there's no way you can sit him in any situation based on how he has been playing. The other ones are interesting, and you have to take into account that he's already got like 60 pretty much from Lamb and Hall, if not even more than 60 between those two, depending on your league scoring. So I won't play Rice here. I think Rice is the wrong play here because Rice's ceiling, let's say, is 20 points, which is a good week, but it's not enough for what he needs. Now, Olave, Olave's almost going to guarantee you 5-6 catches for almost 100 yards. He can't get in the end zone. I think that you got to go for the home run here along with White. And in this situation, and I have not played Bijan Robinson much at all in any situation this year, fantasy-wise, but I think you go Bijan. You know that the weather is going to call for running the ball. We just talked about it in Chicago. It's been a roller coaster, but he's got 2 good weeks sandwiched in between a bad one. And if there is going to be any throwing in snow, it's going to be to the running backs, and he had 10 targets last week. So I'm going to ride that momentum and go White and Bijan.
And I actually agree with that. I think I like White and Bijan here too. I do love Olave. I do love Rice, but I agree with you. Now, if this was just a standard, we're not down in a deep hole right now. I would probably play Rice and White, but since we're in such a deep hole, I feel like the ceilings lie with those two running backs with White and Bijan. And like Joe said, I mean, it's going to be snowing there. I think that's a good uptick for a running back and tight end. It's kind of like having a new quarterback. It's almost the same thing for me. And just like I said, I just can't depend on Rashee Rice getting it done as much as I can with the volume that I'm going to get out of that. Trans-Siberian says no to Jeff, and thanks for the shout out last night on the DFS show. Definitely, like, dude, I'm telling you, Trans-Siberian, we talk about you all the time. You're our favorite dude on here. We just, I don't know, we just love you, man. So we talk about you all the time. Yep. There you go. Steve Salvage One says he went up against Lamb, man. We got a lot of these. So he's in a big hole. We need 2 of these. We got Thielen, Pickens, Jaden Reed, Shaheed, Demarcus Robinson, Demario Douglas. Wow, that's a pretty bleak look. What do you got here, Joe?
Man, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of leaning the first 2 on the list, Thielen and Pickens. Yeah, I think I'm going to, I think you got to play. Let's go about the home run again, right? If you're down Lamb, you got to play Pickens because he proved last week that there's a chance he could come close to matching Lamb, where I don't think anybody else on that list can do that. So I'll go Pickens, and then it would be between Thielen and Reed for me. But that Packer offense is just all over the place. So I'm leaning Thielen and Pickens. If you went Reed and Pickens, you could sell me on that. But I think you got to go Pickens in the situation that he went against Lamb.
I don't know if I agree with that. Jeff, what do you got right here?
So I got to stay consistent, and I'll go with Demarcus Robinson, number 1. For the second one, I mean, let's take out Demario Douglas completely just because you can't trust anybody on the Patriots offense these days. Jaden Reed, certainly an interesting one, not necessarily the best matchup. So I guess I'll agree with Joe as far as the Pickens point there. Of these, not my favorite pick out of them, but I'll go Pickens and Robinson.
I can't.
That's actually where I'm leaning to. Pickens for that home run ball, Robinson for that consistent number. Again, I mean, I know I'm in a big hole here, but I don't think that I'm going to be able to dig my way out of this hole with Thielen, Reed, Shaheed, or Douglas. Whereas I at least know that there is potential for that to happen with Pickens, although I'm not counting on that to happen. Again, I mean, we're swinging at curveballs here, man, and we might miss. So for me, I think that Pickens has the biggest, like he just showed us last week, what his potential could be on that offense. And Demarcus Robinson's just been too consistent to ignore. I do love Jaden Reed if this was a standard, but in a PPR, I Pickens and Demarcus Robinson here. Yeah, Rashid Shaheed usually gets it done pretty good. He had a pretty good week last week with a touchdown in there. But I just can't lean on that because this could be an Olave week. This could be a Kamara week. There's just too many different question marks on that team for me to reliably start any of those guys. And here it comes in a Kamara question, just as if on cue. We got at B Milligan 21 says A-Chain or Kamara. Jeff, what do you think?
Oh, dude, that is a juicy question right there, man. I'll tell you. So I get we've talked about the difficult matchup that Miami has, especially in Baltimore, but I'm still going A-Chain. And then, Joe, did you say Kamara was questionable, but he's probably going to play?
Yeah, he's got the flu, so they think he's going to play, but he is questionable.
Oh, okay, so I guess that means he also has a shoulder injury somehow because seemingly they go hand in hand. But give me A-Chain out of those two.
I think I agree with that, Joe. What do you think here?
Yeah, it's funny. I will say Kamara went for freaking 13 catches. He went for 13 catches on 33 yards the first time they played Tampa, which is an interesting stat line. I just, what frustrates me about Kamara is how he is used or not used consistently in the red zone because they go the Taysom Hill route or whatever it may be. Now, all of a sudden, the last couple of weeks, Carr's throwing the ball all over the place. So I worry about Kamara a little there. If Mostert was playing, this is a no-brainer to me, and I pick Kamara. Because Mostert's out, I think A-Chain's got the better shot of getting in the end zone, so I'm going to go A-Chain.
I agree, actually. I like A-Chain here, and it's a sheer volume play. Again, I don't like that Baltimore defense, but I just don't like how I agree with you, Joe. I just don't like how he's getting used in the red zone. Kamara is a scoring machine, and they just have seemingly been ignoring that. And again, man, Taysom Hill coming in there and running it in, nothing more frustrating. I'm really not too worried about Jeff Wilson doing the same thing to me. So give me A-Chain here. We got our man, Christopher Rodriguez says, what's up, gentlemen? We're stuck between Gus Edwards, Brian Robinson, and Jeff Wilson. He needs two of these guys. Thanks. Who are we starting here, Joe?
We did this one already, unless it's the same exact question.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a duplicate there.
That's amazing
as far as it goes, but let's help this guy out.
Absolutely. So I'm going the first two on the list of Gus Edwards and Brian Robinson. Jeff Wilson was going to get a little bit of play today, but Gus Edwards is really all alone there, along with Lamar Jackson. Without Mitchell, and Brian Robinson's going to get the start again. They're rookies on the IR, so he's got a clearer path for touches once again this week.
What do you say, Jeff?
I'm trying to figure out what the hell the odds are that this trio would come up in two questions in one show. And it seemingly is a separate question because the first one I recall being phrased as Gus the Bus, which we had to infer was Gus Edwards. So yeah, I mean, I went with Edwards and Robinson back then. I remember way back then, so I'll stick with them until now.
I remember yesterday. I'm leaning on the same thing here as well. I think I'm going to go with Gus Edwards, Brian Robinson. Again, I like Jeff Wilson today. I feel like the volume was going to go mostly A-Chain's way, and I'm not excited about that volume against the number one defense in the league against the run. So I feel like it's Gus Edwards, Brian Robinson, but it's sketchy, man. It is sketchy. So gotta love it. He says, thanks. He says, thanks, guys. What a funny coincidence. Yeah, it's crazy once you start kind of getting expanded out here and everything like that. It's kind of crazy how sometimes that kind of stuff happens, but it's not a shocker that we got a lot of guys in the same lineups in the championship, that we got a lot of guys asking the same questions because, man, it's a confusing day out there today. At DSM 1029 says, Javonte Williams or Ty Chandler. Joe, what do you know?
Yeah, well, I'm reaching for my phone now because I want to understand the status of Mattison there for Minnesota. Last time I checked, I think he is going to play. So, I know that they're still saying that Chandler is getting kind of more carries because I believe they both played last week and Chandler kind of led the way. But the fact that if they are both indeed playing, I think I like Williams either way, but I absolutely like Williams more if Mattison is playing, and it is, let's see here. Yeah, there's no update on him. So I think he is going to play. And so I would go Javonte Williams here.
I like that. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, just because of the quarterback situation in Denver, I'm going to go Javonte Williams because I think they're going to lean heavily on him as opposed to with Sutton out and Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, and you got to throw to Judy and whoever the hell else they have down there. They're going to be leaning on Javonte Williams, in my opinion. So I'd roll with him.
And I agree. Javonte Williams was one of my starters for the DFS show last night just because I like his volume opportunity. And again, Stidham's going to be throwing the ball or pretending to throw the ball, one or the other. So let's get this going. Let's get Javonte Williams. Let's go Broncos, man. Let's go get in the damn playoffs. Just getting actually tank for a quarterback, please. Tank for a quarterback. Lose today. At Tony Cuz 22 says Zamir White or Devon A-Chain in a PPR league. Joe, lead us off here. And guys, this is our last question right now, so get them in there if you got time or else we're going to go. We're not going to see you again until week 1 next year. So, Joe, help this guy out. Let's lay him on a strong note.
Well, let's just say this right now. If you're an A-Chain owner, you've got a Christmas miracle with Mostert missing this week. It is such a huge win for any A-Chain owner. And, I like Zamir White. As you can see, I got them both in the DFS lineup, but I think you got to roll A-Chain for your championship game from a league perspective here. Just more trustworthy than White and and a much more dynamic offense, obviously.
Jeff, agree or disagree?
I'm going to agree. And good Lord, the intro to that question you made sound very ominous, man. It almost makes me down a little bit, dude. You know, it's the end of an era, at least for this year. So, but Devin A. Chain, I'm going to hang my hat on him more so than Zamir White. So give me A. Chain, man.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it sucks too, Jeff, because I love the Blitz. I love this season. I love fantasy football. I love it all, man. But all good things must come to an end, and this is not any different, unfortunately.
Hold on. Listen, I'm in a Super Bowl, and I asked you guys a question earlier, and I don't think I got an answer from either of you yet, and I'm going to hold you guys accountable. So I need some help. Amari Cooper, I lost my third wideout. So it's Smith and Jigba, Deontay Johnson, CJ Wilson, obviously with no Waddle, or I could pick up Tyler Lockett. Who would you go with? I could also pick up Shark. I know Mike likes DJ Shark.
I mean, first of all, we didn't answer earlier because we don't actually want you to win. So, but I'll say, gosh, those are kind of shitty options, man. I'd have to say,
I'm in the Super Bowl.
Hey, what are you gonna do, kid? Well done.
Today?
Hey, relax. So I think Smith and Jigba has, and especially with Metcalf is questionable, and him stepping up as maybe the number 2 option ahead of Lockett, I would roll with him over those other options.
Mikey?
I actually agree with that. I don't like Deontay Johnson. I almost want to say Chark here because he's been so out of nowhere, though, right? But I mean, when you get a guy like that out of nowhere with a rookie quarterback, the thing that I always like to trend is that volume going to continue? If I was down, if I was losing already, I would play DJ Chark.
Let me
if
give you
I
the
was
contest.
Just in a heads-up matchup, I'd go the other way.
I've got 75 from Lamb, Nwoko, and the Browns defense so far, and he's got 12 from Laporta. So I need to just play it safe.
Oh, then play Deontay Johnson just because screw you for even asking us, man. You've already got the winning bag. No, I'm just kidding.
That is dude. This fantasy football season, I should, right? I beat the team better than me last week. Now I'm playing a roster that I'm definitely better than, but I just feel like this whole season, that's been the gist of it. Every time you think you can depend on a team to win a game or a fan, it just goes haywire.
It just goes the opposite. Yeah, no, you definitely never want to go into these games with too much confidence because I've had it where, the Thursday night game, I come out of it and I'm down 100 points and I'm like, there's zero chance. And then I wake up Monday morning and I won. I had a couple guys go off and just a little bit harder than their Thursday night guys went off. And so it definitely happens. So, yeah, no, I'm still leaning with the original. I think I like Smith and Jigba. Again, though, I feel like Chark is a good home run play, but you don't need to make a home run play here. So I definitely go with that.
Oh, we got a new one.
We do, and it's a sexy one. How you doing there, April Gilbert? Addison or D. Johnson? She says, Joe, help my lady out.
Man, this is a tough one, too. This is a really tough one. Justin Jefferson back, obviously. That Minnesota offense is all over the place. And now Hall's starting this week at quarterback for them, right? I believe they're going back to Jaren Hall.
Yep, Jared Hall will be the quarterback today.
I think, I'm going to roll Addison. Deontay Johnson, I'm sick of having to root for that offense. I know I'm going Pickens a little bit, but it's such a struggle to watch and have to root for one of those Steeler guys. I feel like it's just going to be easier on the heart to watch Addison and roll the dice with him. And Addison certainly has a higher ceiling. He could pop a couple big ones where I don't think you're going to get more than 15 from Deontay, even if it's a good week from him.
What do you think here, Jeff?
Yeah, I'd roll Addison. I mean, you got Pittsburgh in Seattle, tough place to play. Joe made a comment that about the Seattle defense. They've been certainly playing better, and in Seattle is a little bit difficult when you got Minnesota at home versus Green Bay. So I just think Addison, again, has the higher ceiling or the lower floor, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson's been just bust this year. He's had a couple of really good games out there, but they haven't been enough for me to get excited about it. I think, I don't like Hall as my quarterback very much, but I do like Addison and his mentality of, I don't care, this ankle isn't going to slow me down. I'm playing today. I really like it when my wide receiver comes in with that kind of energy and attitude, and it usually pays off dividends for me. So I think I'm going to lean Addison here too as well. So my love, I hope that we have helped you with that. I hope our consensus helps you. When Deontay Johnson scores his second touchdown this afternoon, and you don't want to talk to me for the rest of the afternoon, believe me, I already understand ahead of time. So,
one more just came in for April. Would you start Tampa Bay, Mike, or would you start Nebraska, Mike? Which one does she like more? I got a feeling it's the Nebraska version.
I would hope so, man, because I tell you what, I was pretty much a ghost down there in good old Tampa because I had to work almost every damn minute just to make sure that we could even survive, man. It was crazy. It was like a damn rat race. And it's and when people say, oh, the rat race, like it's literally like a race full of rats in Florida because there's actual rats that you can put a saddle on and ride them around a little bit. So for me, it's definitely Nebraska, Mike, but we'll definitely have to see what she has to say there. But with that, gentlemen, that is Nebraska. That is the Blitz. We have done it in 17 solid weeks, guys. We have gotten you taken care of, gotten you where you want to go to the promised land, unless your name is, look at that. She says Nebraska, Mike. Oh, she says it's gold, though. And it is. I'm not joking, man. I went outside this morning, and oh, my God, I was really questioning my life decisions at that point. But I'm telling you, the peace of mind that it brings you to not have to be just hustling and bustling every damn 5 minutes is just, it's amazing, so I definitely like it. But again, circling back, guys, I appreciate the hell out of you too. Everything you guys bring to the table, everything you guys have done. Jeff, you look like you got something to say here, my man.
Yeah, before we get out of here, and this is our first season with Triple Play Fantasy. I just want to, say we appreciate you guys rolling dice for us and bringing this show over here on Sunday morning, not knowing really kind of what to expect. So I very much appreciate the opportunity here and look forward to what's coming on the Blitz next season and other shows as well.
Yeah, man, we're not going anywhere. We're definitely going to be doing some Dynasty stuff. I'll be kind of pushing these guys a little bit harder towards Dynasty content. They did really well in our Dynasty leagues this year.
And the DFS season's not over
concept of it and stuff. And I mean, I'm telling you, like, when these guys get their hands on something, the analysis that comes in afterwards is it'll rock your world, man. I mean, these guys are really good at what they do. Again, I really appreciate you too. Hats off to you, gentlemen, right there. No, and that's the most naked you'll ever see me online. So with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign out. Thank you so much, Jeff, Joe, for joining me. Thank you so much, Trans-Siberian, April, everybody, Christopher Rodriguez, all our guys from all over the place. We cannot wait to see you guys again next year if you're just a regular in-season player. Look for us here in a couple of weeks to be getting down. And don't worry, we're still here every Saturday night for DFS, man. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be up with you till we get down to the championship, man, till the Super Bowl. And even then, we're probably going to be throwing some single game slates at you. So make sure you guys join us. Hit that bell, hit that subscribe. Make sure you're there with us at Triple Play Fantasy every week. Again, we don't even stop with football. If you like fantasy baseball, basketball, this is your one-stop shop. And we've got some really good analysis from all of our other guys there. It's just a really good team to be a part of. And Jeff, you said it. I love you, Triple Play Fantasy. Thanks for taking a chance with us. It's been a hell of a team. It's been a hell of an incredible ride this year. And looking forward to seeing you guys